So is it recording? Okay. So now we are starting with day 2 of NeetCode daily. So the second question is valid anagram. So I have opened this question here. So the question is, given two strings S and T, return true if T is anagram of S and false otherwise. You can see definition of anagram. I will just tell you and explain you. So an anagram is something like if you have been given two strings, let's say S is CAT and T is TAC. So you should be uh, like it should be possible to rearrange the characters of CAT to form TAC. You should be able to do that. Then it's called an anagram. Like CAT, you can arrange like T should be here, A and C, and then you get this string T. So it's an anagram. Like RAT can be rearranged to make ATR, ART, TAR, TRA. So these are all valid anagrams of each other. So in the case where it's not a valid anagram, you can think as like this is ball and maybe cat. So it's not possible to rearrange characters of ball in any way that it will form a cat, because it has like different characters, like B is not here, uh, double L are not there, T is not in this string. So we have to just return true if they are like given two strings S and T, they are valid anagram of each other. So one way we can do that is, if you notice the pattern, after if you sort the characters of T lexicographically, like A comes before B and C and D, like if you sort in this order the string, then it will become A C T. And if you sort the T string, then also it will become A C T. So these both become the same string. So you can just sort these two strings and check if they are equal. If they are equal, then just return true because they are valid anagram. Because if you see, anagrams are just strings that have same characters. Like they have no different characters, same chars, and these chars have the same frequency too. So there is like they will occur if in different order. It's okay. Like if there is CATA, it can also occur like AC, ACAT. So A will occur two times, just like in this, and T and C. So one way is just to sort them and check if they are equal, like sort S and sort T, and just check if they are equal. But this approach will take O of n log n time, because sorting is O of n log n approach. Like best way you can do this is O of n log n. So once for this, two for this, so two for this, and then check for O of n. Like if they are equal, you have to check O of n. So overall, it will become O of n log n, just this. But there is another way where you can do it more efficient than this. So one other way is you can make an unordered map. So S and T, you have to just check if they are like have same frequency of characters. So let's take like this string CTA T, and then T is lava. T is, here we can say TC. So first we make an unordered map MP1. So just iterate through each character. So the first, let's say map is something like this. So let's say first is C. So all values in map are default level, like they are initialized with 0. So you can just say C and increment, then it will become this T and increment 1, A increment 1, and T increment. So this 1 will become 1 plus 1, 2. And then you can make another map saying like MP2 and then TATC. So this map will form something like this: T1, then A1, then T will increment, and then finally C. So after you have done this, you can just check by checking if MP1 is equal to MP2. One another way you can do this is not making another map and just decrementing in this, like when you get t, you decrement this to 1, then when you get a again, right, let me erase this, then when you get a again, so you can just make it 0, c 0, and like t another, it was just 0. But there is a difficulty in checking this because like all characters will be 0, right? No, but this is fine. You can do this. So if you then go through MP1 iterate, there should not be any character which has frequency less than 0 or more than 0. So I think it's okay to make one map also. But another way and more simpler way you can think of doing this is if you just check, look, if you just make an vector of int for like all characters for from A to Z, so vector of 26 size 0, you can just count the frequency. If S was like CATA and T was ATAC, so you can just count the frequency. So if it's size of 26, you can just think like this will be 0 in index 0, but you can think of this portraying A, and then similarly B, C, all thing, and then last one would be Z, and like somewhere between will be T. So once you go through this, you can initialize, like here we are initializing it at 0, so just everything is 0. So C will get incremented by 1, A will be incremented by 1, T by 1, and 1 A will increment again, so it will become 2. Then once you do that, like iterate through each character, you can iterate through each character of T again, and just decrement everything by 1 after seeing this, like A is occurring, so we'll decrement it by 1, and then T, so it will become 0, A again 0, and C 0. And you can just iterate through this vector and see if everything is 0. If everything is 0, then it's a valid anagram. If there are any values, like maybe let's say this T was uh, ATC, ADD, something like that. So like the initial vector will be A value will have 1, C1, and T2. Sorry, A2, C1, and T1. But when you go through this, so A will decrement. Hey, what is this? Uh, this is 2. So A will decrement by 1, then T will decrement by 0, log 1, then it will become 0. A will decrement again 0, C will decrement again 0. But here comes the 2Ds, and this D is like will be initialized with 0, and it will not get changed in the first traversal because there is no D. But here we have D, so we can decrement it by 1, and it will become -1, and this, and again, so it will become -2. So if there are any characters with a minus frequency, you can just say it's like not an valid anagram because it occurs more in T than in S. And similarly for S, if S is maybe another big string like C, A, T, D, 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 so, and this T is something like A, T, A, C, so D will here have frequency of 3, like maybe D is 3, but it will never decrement because the T doesn't have them. So if it's greater than 0, it means S has more characters, which will not give a possible anagram. And if it's less than 0, means T has more characters, that will also not give valid anagram. All things should be 0. So let's not waste any more time and just implement this. So I'm creating vector of int, and let's say nums 26 0, and then just iterate for char x in S. We are incrementing nums x minus a plus plus. If you are wondering how this x minus a plus plus, like what we are doing here, so x is any character, let's say C, and a is a, so c minus a will mean ASCII of C minus ASCII of A, which will give 2. So like A minus A would give 0 because their ASCII are same. And then just as A increases here, like X increases, the difference will increase and it will give an array index. Like A minus A gives 0, so we can just put it in like 0 index, like here A, and where B we can allot 1 and such so on. So we're doing this, then same for the another string. We now need to decrement this, so we need to do this. Then for int, like the vector is of int, so num, like nums, and if any character is not 0, so if num is not equal to 0, then false. Or if there is any issue with, like if it is not 0, it will return false in the loop itself. But if the loop passes, it means everything is 0, so we just return true here. So let's check. Okay, so I think this works. And like map approach is also okay, but this in maps uses like a, it's a bit difficult, you can say a bit complex. Like vector is much simpler, and it's better to use an vector when you can, like if and a map is not necessary, then you can just move to vectors. Okay, so that's all.